so here we have these, and I think we can match the color. So while matching the color, I wanted to give you one more important tip, and that is that let's say you want to figure out what are the styles that have been used, you can always inspect here. Okay, so I'm already in this section, and if I see background color is this, so it is a variable. So we will talk about CSS variables. Reason for using this variable is that we currently have two modes. So you can see that currently it is dark blue, but if I click on this, it turns yellow. So this for that purpose this variable is used, and we will talk about it later. But if you want to figure out what color it is, you can always click on this. You will see when you hover over it, then you'll already see, you can see that hash 001D60 is the color. But even if you don't, if you want to directly go there, you can keep on clicking until you get the color. Okay, so this is what I'll do here, and if I save it and go back and see my one, so now ours is also matching. Now we want to change the background. So again, let's go click here, inspect. So it's a div, and here we have this toggle switch BG, and it's faded gray, and then here we have the actual color. So let's copy this quickly and replace it here, and let's save it, and let's see how it looks. Not sure how. Okay, you can see that in the light background it's not appearing properly, so let's use the light colors. Okay, so now if I go and see the toggle switch, so this is yeah, I think this is the color. So let me just quickly copy this and paste it here, and then let's quickly see. Yeah, now it's coming fine, and also I need to change the switch color. So let's inspect this as well, and let's go and see the color. So it's this yellow. So again I need to change this. So now I think we should have it as expected. Okay, and I think there is a box shadow also which is giving it this effect. So let's copy this line off. So you can always, you know, take this CSS as reference, whatever is in the website. Let's say you're confused and you're not sure how to recreate that style, you can always go to the CSS and, you know, copy it. Okay, so now if I go here, now it is appearing as expected. All right, so this part is done. Now let's see how you know, we are able to have this smooth kind of transition. Okay, so for that purpose what I'll do is I'll just go back, I'll create a state. So this is the way of, you know, like in JavaScript the way you declare variables is using const and let. In the new ES syntax it is const and let. Earlier it used to be var, which is still valid, but var is, you know, you should avoid it as much as possible and instead use const or let. So let's say if I want to assign a variable const x equal to 2, so it looks like something like mathematical expression, and I'm sure that you would have been aware by now about these expressions. But basically what here I'm doing is I am, you know, assigning 2. Now let's assume there is a function called, let's say the name of the function is useState. Okay, and it returns, it takes in some argument which you can say initial value, which is of type it is a generic. Again, generic is some complicated thing, but for simplicity now let's take it as number. Okay, and it returns two things. One is the initial value, and the another is, let's say, some function which updates initial value. Okay, so return updated value. Okay, and actually I don't need return because it's a single line function, and updated value is also a number. So what this function does is, if I just copy this function and show you in the browser console, let's get rid of this, and it's okay because browser won't be using TypeScript, it will require JavaScript, so I need to remove these guys. All right, now if I use useState and let's say I click 2, so you can see that you know, it is returning two values. Now I want to keep these values, like one is value and the other one is set value, which is a function. So I'll do it like this. Okay, now if I go to value, it will give me 2, and set value is basically a function which expects another number and then it returns it. This is a very simple use case. So similar to this, we have something called hooks. Hooks are, you know, usable in only inside the functional components. Like earlier React used to be, you know, let's say radio button 2, and then it used to extend react dot component, and then you can create all the constructor and everything. That used to be earlier, but now functional components are very convenient to use, and for that purpose we are using it. So in functional components, whenever you create the variables, you just don't come in and do a let x equal to 2 or let y equal to 3. This is not the way to create the variable and then perform mutations. Instead we take use of, and of course hooks are not just limited to this use case, but this is one of the very common hooks that you will be using. So what we will do is we will say check, or we can just do is on, okay, and set is on. So basically this is the useState-hook that I told, I just showed a similar implementation. It was of course not that, but here what we pass, it is a useState. So whatever starts with use is a hook, is a React hook that is used in the pure functional components, okay. And the pure functional components, they always should start with a capital letter. Like let's say if I do R, then it will complain saying that this is the first complaint, but it will also complain if I compile this, it will say that it cannot be used inside a functional component. So functional components always should start with R. That is a convention that is being followed. I mean, let's try it out and see why we are not getting any errors. Let's see. Okay, let me go back and let me try to refresh. Okay, it may be because of some that is actually weird, because ideally it does not allow you to use hooks inside a non-functional component, but for some reason it is allowing you, maybe due to newer versions. But you should always follow the conventions and always start your function with capitals, okay. That is that is better practice, and it is also useful for other users to understand. Okay, now this useState, it takes a generic argument which basically tells what type of value it is, and since it is a boolean value, so I'll just add a false initially. This is again optional, because whatever you type in here, it automatically infers, but in case if you have an empty array or something, then it is always better to specify the type. Again, this is the TypeScript specific thing. In JavaScript you don't need to put it like this, but in TypeScript, just to specify what value it is holding, you can always do it like this, okay. Now what we will do is we will add a on-click handler here, okay. On-click handler means what will happen when this button is clicked, okay. And what we will do is we will again add a functionality. So whenever click is happening, we want to perform a specific functionality. We can create that functionality handle here itself, like const handle on click. So whenever the click happens, we want to toggle the on. If it is on, we want to switch it to off. If it is off, we want to switch it to on. So what we will do is set is on, and this set is on basically takes a callback, okay. I mean a function. Here we want to pass in a function which will return a value, and that value will be set. So let's say we have a function called update value, okay, and in this automatically boolean is injected, which is the current value. So let's name it as current value, okay. And then it is expected to return a boolean, so we will have to return not of current value. Why not of current value? Because let's say if it is true, then we want to return false, and if it is false, then we want to return true, okay. So this is the function that is expected by set is on, okay. So what I can do is I can just you will see me writing it in the arrow function syntax. Just see and try to, what will be the arrow function syntax of this? We can just try to write it here. So it would be const update value arrow equal to current value. You will see that I'm getting some suggestions here, and then I can just return not of current value, okay. So this is an arrow function syntax. So I can directly put this here, directly I can put it like this. That is one way. Or what I can do is if I have defined it like this, I can just pass this function as well. That is also valid, okay. And again this is a short syntax, so this will be preferred. This I just showed you for example. So let me both of these are correct. I could use this update value also, that is also fine. So this is now my handle on click functionality, which basically gets the current value which will be supplied by set is on, and then returns the altered value. If it is true, then not of true will be false. This is a not operator, by the way. So not of true is false, and if it is false, not of false would be true. So I'll just add a handle on click here, and I don't need to do it like this. I can just provide it. Okay, this is one way. Another way would be, if I don't want it to define this function, I could have used it as anonymous function and directly supplied it like this. In that case, I don't need this as well. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to do same thing. So just understand these concepts well, understand what I'm speaking about, and then you can try on, and also try, of course, try yourself, like how you can pass in anonymous function, how you want to pass in different functions like any other function, or a defined function like we had earlier, like this. So we also saw, right, how we can pass it like this and test it out. It won't make any difference, but ideally in a lot of cases you will see it directly passing in anonymous function. In a lot of cases when the functionality is not limited to single line, like my concept is, whenever functionality is not a single line, I put it inside a big function which is like this, and then I'll write it all there, and then let's say it is 7-8 lines, then I'll pass it like this. Okay, but when it is a single line, like in this case, I prefer it writing this way and not creating another function. So that's the only difference. Okay, so this is one thing. Now based on is on, we will change the position. For now, let's just change the position. Okay, so we have toggle button, so let's get back here and let's say